the MS Michigan Man 64 podcast. My name is Brian Wallace, and I am the MS Michigan Man 64. The MS Michigan Man 64 podcast is about chronic disease awareness. I have had multiple sclerosis for the last 27 years. It's an invisible chronic disease that I've been battling for half of my life. I want to share with you what it is like living with the chronic disease from my experiences and the experiences of other chronic disease warriors. We can fight to have a voice to those that want to listen. Together, we can motivate and educate. Hi, and welcome to the MS Michigan Man 64 podcast. Today, I am sitting down with an MSer from the state of Maryland. I met Antwuan a couple of weeks ago on social media. He wanted to come on and talk about his journey with his multiple sclerosis. I also want to acknowledge the fact that Antwuan served in the U.S. military in our Air Force for 8 years, and I want to thank him for his service to our military. But please welcome to the podcast, Antwuan. How you doing today, Antwuan?
I am doing, Mr. Wallace, and yourself?
I'm doing all right, my friend. I'm doing all right. So, Antwuan, I know you got diagnosed with MS in 2019. I really appreciate you coming on to talk about your journey, brother. Can you kind of take us through your symptoms? What were you experiencing at the time that caused you to go see a doctor because something wasn't right with your body?
So it started back in 15, and I was driving into work, and I started with vision, and the double vision lasted for a couple months. I went to go see my primary care doctor and tell her I was experiencing double vision. And so she, well, just keep an eye out on it and see if anything changes, because it might just be vertigo. So I said, okay. It went away, and I wound up being referred to a neurologist. And so I had to go through from 2015 to 2017 is when I had my first MRI. And the doctor that I saw today, he stated that I noticed from your MRI that there was some white matter on your brain, but it could be multiple sclerosis, but we'll keep testing to verify that, because I don't want to upset you or anger you right now by telling you this news, because we're not sure. So I went through more testing, including the lumbar testing, including blood testing from the next 2 years. So from 2019, and I was officially diagnosed when I went to the emergency room, and nurse spoke with the doctor, and the doctor spoke to the nurse, and then the nurse came back to me and said, "Mr. Dumore, I'm sorry to tell you, but you are being diagnosed with multiple sclerosis."
So when you got that diagnosis, Antwuan, how old were you, and how did you process that information? Did you even have any knowledge of what MS was at that time?
I did not have any idea what MS was. The very first thing I asked was, "Is it curable?" I think I was around 41-ish. I think 40 or 41. No, 40, I'm 48. So 42. I think 40, yeah, 42, 43-ish.
Okay.
Sorry, get it mixed up. And I had no idea what it was, but the nurse at the time said, "Well, Mr. Dummo, your life isn't over." And I looked at her, and I just literally just started crying, because first you tell me I have MS, then next you tell me there's no cure for it. And I had no other reaction but to cry from it, because I didn't know what to do in that situation. And so I went home that evening from the emergency room, and I started doing research about multiple sclerosis and exactly what it does to your body. And prior to that, I was feeling tingling in my left hand, but it was nothing out of the ordinary at that time. So.
So when you got that diagnosis of MS, and I mean, you went through, the sorrow part of it, the tears, But did you have any kind of like a a feeling of relief? Because I know when I got diagnosed, and I went through, you went through 2 years of trying to get it figured out, and I went through 10 months of trying to get it figured out. And when I got told that I had MS, I actually was kind of happy. I'm like, okay, well, we finally got some answers at least. Now, now I had to process what MS was. I mean, were you relieved when you were told that you had MS?
I wasn't necessarily relieved. I was just trying to process exactly what was happening to my body. Because I've been through a lot of different things throughout my life with my body.
Hmm.
And so I experienced everything differently depending on what was being told to me. And so when I heard it, I was in shock more than anything else because I was like, again, like something else new was happening. Um, but I don't know. I guess I was a little miffed because I wasn't expecting to hear that. I was expecting to hear something where I was able to be cured from and I'll be back to normal and I'll be back to being the person that I once was.
Yeah.
Um, I've heard stories of people stating that they were relieved because of the various things that were happening to their body, and they were relieved because now they know exactly what it is and what's causing their body to act the way that it acted. But me, I was more in shock than anything else.
Gotcha. So how did you like wrap your head around the disease, and like how when you finally did, like, okay, I'm processing this, I'm starting to get my head wrapped around it. How did you like accept that diagnosis? Like, okay, this is incurable, and like, how did you process the fact that you were going to have days that you were going to feel good and the days that you were going to feel like shit? And I mean, take us kind of through how you manage that part of it.
So the very first thing that I said to myself was that I was going to try to be an advocate for people dealing with multiple sclerosis. And once I decided to take that approach with having MS, a light switch just went off, and I just went guns blazing, trying to figure out and do any and everything I could possibly do in relation to spreading awareness about multiple sclerosis. Um, I didn't know to what extreme good days and bad days were until I had a good day and bad day. And so once I started to navigate those good days and bad days, I could say, okay, well, I can do all the way up to this point. And then if I can't do anything at all, then that'll be the day I'll just have to rest. And I accepted the fact that these things are going to happen to my body and there's nothing I could literally do about it. But give my body the time that it needed to rest, take the medication that I needed, and just take it easy. But on those good days, I would try to do as much as I could for as long as I could before I couldn't do it anymore. And I think I'm still finding a happy balance between the two because as a person that's always been active, one, and then a person that has always been doing things his entire life, it's hard for me to just sit down or not to do anything for a day or for however long it may take
Yeah.
because always because I'm as being in the military, I was always taught that you always go no matter what, you never stop, and so it's hard for such as myself just to be okay. I'm gonna stop, but I have to listen to my body now, so it's different.
That's a hard thing to do, like, 'cause it's the same kind of thing that I wasn't in the military, but I mean, I went through playing football at the University of Michigan, so it was very disciplined, and my body was used to that, and I was used to the hard work, and then when you get something like this chronic disease, MS, and it hits your body, I mean, it's like a life changer, and you're 40 years old. You're well into your career. How did this disease affect that part of your life, Antoine? Like, because I mean, you're 40 years old. You're 8 years in the military. How did you deal with that?
The hardest part was being able to not do the things I used to do. And so as I'm trying to navigate and figure different things out, my body is starting to react a little bit more than it would previously. So I'm glad you brought up the career because I literally was let go from my previous job. They stated it was work performance and attendance, which were neither true, but I had lost my job. It was difficult because I've never been let go of anything before.
Mm.
And I thought that I was protected from FMLA, but this company decided to let me go. And it was a hard thing to adjust to because I wasn't familiar with not being able to work. And so even now I still have to figure out things I can do throughout my day in order to for me to feel like I'm still working, even though I'm not receiving a paycheck. I just go through the day as if I'm still working. So I do any and everything possible to maintain myself, my sanity for one, and then two, to be able to relax when I need to and go as hard as I can when I can as well. It was a really weird time in my life because before I was let go, I was supposed to be receiving my infusion, and I explained that to my job, and they told me, "Okay, we'll wait for you," but they didn't. So that was a
Yeah,
really, really tough deal.
I know we were talking about that the other day, and it was just mind blowing when you told me what you went through, and that's another thing that I don't think people understand. Like you're ex-military, and you're a hard worker. You know what hard work's all about, being military and all that, and you've never been let go of it from a job before, and now all of a sudden, all you are is sick. You're out on medical leave trying to get better, and a company lets you go. It's just, this is the shit that we go through and that people just don't understand. I went through similar situation about a year and a half ago. I'm working for a company for 4 years, and I never had a bad eval. I'm getting 3.8 out of 4 on all my evals. I'm a model employee, and all of a sudden I get sick, and a year later they're firing me because they don't have a working elevator, and I can't get in and out of the building. But I'm the one getting fired for it, and that's the part that people just don't get. I mean, all we want to do is contribute to society, do the best that we can, and be understood. And we got companies like the one that you were working for, that you're trying to get yourself better from a chronic disease, and they're sitting here letting you go. It's this is the part that really frustrates me and irritates me about society.
And I think because it's deemed an invisible disease, more people don't think that there's anything that's wrong with you. And it comes to a point where like you probably have to go above and beyond to show a person how bad your condition is before they start to believe you.
Yeah.
Because on the outside looking in, you're fine. But they don't understand everything that your body goes through on a daily basis for you just to literally get up out of the bed, for you to literally to walk anywhere. It is such a task. And people like myself and you are warriors because we have to endure that challenge every single morning of being able just to get out of the bed and try to have a productive day, knowing that you may or may not have a productive day based upon the way your body feels.
Hmm.
And I was getting ready to catch a flight. I think we were going to Florida somewhere, and they were asking people if they had disabilities. They they were allowed to board the plane first. So I walked up to the young lady at the desk. I said, "Ma'am, I have a disability, but I have multiple sclerosis." And she said, "Mr. Dunmore, do not feel ashamed of what you have. If people can't see what you go through or understand what you go through, that's fine. But you're allowed to board the plane right now because of your disability. All you need to do is just tell me you have a disability, and I won't say anything else other than that." She said, "You don't need to feel embarrassed because people can't see your disability."
Yeah. And that's the way I think everybody should be, like that lady was. Unfortunately, it's not like that. And that's the frustrating part with this disease. We just want to be understood. Yeah, I don't want to be pitied. I don't want anybody to pity me. It is what it is. I got MS. And I'm not. Nothing can change that. I just want to be understood that if I am having a bad day and I tell you that I don't feel like doing something, you don't judge me, and you just understand that, hey, okay, he's got this, and just take it for what it is.
And it would be helpful if people could learn to accept it, and it will make our lives easier as people who deal with MS because now you truly have an understanding of what it's like for people to endure things that other people take for granted, but things that we hope for on a daily basis. just being able to brush your teeth without you falling, being able to move without falling, being able to do anything without falling it is it is a job within itself just to be able to survive and live on a daily basis dealing with MS. And this is probably one of the toughest things that I've ever had to endure within my life because I don't know what every day looks like. And for somebody who is normal, quote unquote, they know what their day is going to look like. I have no idea what my body's going to feel like and look like when I wake up in the morning. It may work, it may not work.
Yeah.
And those are the days where I have to decide, okay, you can push it or you can't push it.
Right. Yeah. Every day's a journey, and yeah, and I try to explain that to people too. You got to take what this disease gives you and go with it and use it to the best of your ability and enjoy life. And I always say you can't give up with this disease either, because this disease, once you start giving up, it that's when it seems just to eat you up. And I know that I used the weight room to keep me going and to keep me motivated. What do you use to keep you motivated and to keep you fighting every day, Antoine?
I use God first, then I use my family next, and then I use awareness third. All of those things encompass me to be motivated and for me to continue to keep going and keep pressing on. Um, I often equate my life to sports. Like even though you're down, that doesn't mean that you lost the game. You got to keep on fighting because at some point it's gonna change.
Mhm.
But the difference is with MS, I don't know when it's gonna change, but I can't stop fighting and give up because I know if I give up, you are correct, you will lose,
Yeah.
and I don't want in my life because I'm not a loser, and I never want to portray myself as being a loser, and I will do anything that I possibly can to fight against this disease for as long as I can.
Yeah, amen, brother. I mean, that's the attitude you have to have. That's the attitude you need to keep on fighting. Let me ask you. You said your family is your motivation, and I know family. It's a journey for us being diagnosed, but it's also a journey for the family. How did your family, when you got diagnosed 40 years old, how did they accept the disease? How did they understand the disease? Did they even know what MS was?
So the very first thing I did was I went and talked to my grandmother because I wanted to know if there was a track record of this within our family. And once she told me no, I was like, okay, so I'm the first with this. So what I'm going to do is be the loudest person I can be in reference to this to spread as much as I could to this. My wife has been extremely supportive. The kids that we have been extremely supportive. My mom, my brother, everybody within my family has been extremely supportive about me having MS. And they're always really, really cautious in relation to me burning myself out when I go out and do things with them because they don't want me to overdo it because they know what it looks like when I've overdone it and it doesn't look good for me, but it looks even worse. I want to say not worse, but they just don't like it either when I get that way and I can't move or I
Yeah,
can't use my body used to.
yeah.
So I think my family helps a whole lot. Everyone around us is around me rather is supportive about me going through this.
And that is just so huge. And I tell people this all the time. I know having people, especially family members and even a circle of friends around you that just understand it, that don't judge you. But I have lost friends in the fight too. Just people. As I got older, I wasn't doing as many things as I used to do, and they're like, hey, Brian, why aren't you doing this? And then they're like, Brian's saying he's social and all that. And I'm like, no, I'm not antisocial. I just got a disease. And they don't understand that. I mean, and that's a journey in itself, too. But it is just so important to have that core family circle that just understand you and help and support you, buddy.
I totally agree. Family is essentially the biggest fabric that'll help you at all times because if they can support you, that will definitely increase your level of being able to do the things that you need to do and doing the things that you want to do because you know no matter what, they're not judging you. They're there for you. They're there to support you. I know for the last 5 years since I started my MS walk, my family has always been there. They've always donated to the MS Society. They always made sure that whenever I needed something, they were always there, no matter what it was and what I was going through. And even now, my family and friends check up on me just to see how I'm doing, if I need anything, to make sure I'm okay. And I'm truly grateful and I'm truly honored that they would do this for me, because not everybody receives the same support. And so, what I try to do is show my support to others by sending them inspirational messages on Facebook and Instagram, to let them know that if anytime that you need a person to reach out to, I am here to speak to,
Yeah.
because I know how it can be for a person dealing with MS.
Yeah. Amen, brother. And I'm the same way. It's anything, anybody with any kind of a chronic disease, because it's just, it's so important to your mental health just to know that there's somebody out there that gets it, that understands what you're going through, that understands that you're struggling with whatever you're struggling with. And, for you to like just be out there on social media, just supporting other people and just showing that you're out there and you're still fighting this fight. I mean that's just that's part of the battle. That's part of how we manage this disease, and whether it's spreading awareness, or in any other way that we can do this. So talk to me a little bit about your DMT journey, and what did they get you on, and how did your body respond to that?
I spoke with my doctor at the VA, Dr. Maloney. She gave me three, well, actually six choices, but we narrowed them down to three. She said you can do a daily prescription, you can do a monthly prescription, or you could do a 6 month prescription. So I stated to her I would rather do the 6 month infusion, so then that way I wouldn't forget to take my medication, or I wouldn't forget to come back. At
Okay.
least I know I have between before it's time for me to come back to the VA in order for me to receive my infusion. My journey within my infusion has been great thus far, because no new lesions have formed all the years I've been taking infusion. Um, I feel like I know that my body is going to progress into different situations, but I'm comfortable with knowing that the lesions aren't spreading throughout my brain and on my spine. And I know that is a small fight in a big war, but at least I know it's something. I feel comfortable about those things taking place, because I would rather them not grow, meaning the lesions, as opposed to them growing and my body is still getting worse.
Sure.
Uh, the hard part about it is the time that you spend in the clinic, but outside of that, I'm okay. Like I'm great with DMTs.
Yeah. What do they got you on?
So right now I'm taking rituximab. I just seen one for Kesimpta, and I spoke with my doctor about that one. So I might be transitioning from rituximab to Kesimpta. Uh,
Okay. Okay.
she stated that that might be a new medication I could possibly be taking as well.
Why would you switch? I'm just curious. I mean, if you're doing good on the one, what's the discussion about for the switch? What would the reasoning be for it?
It's not necessarily anything the doctor said. It's more so like I'm a person that just likes to try different things. So
Oh,
like,
okay.
yeah, there's no real rhyme or reason why. I was just say, like, once my curiosity is sparked about something, I become interested in it, and I just want to see how it would affect my body with it.
What
So my doctor at the time, she said you don't really need to, because the DMTs are working. Now she said if they weren't working, then I would probably suggest it, but because it's working, I really wouldn't suggest it. So
gotcha.
that's what we had to.
I gotcha. Gotcha. So let me ask you this: when you got diagnosed, you got put on your DMTs. Did you do any kind of diet changes, or did you just say, you know what, I'm just going to push on like normal? Because that's the way I was. I'm like, I'm just like, hey, I like chicken wings, I like ribs. I'm not changing anything in my diet. But I know a lot of people make changes in their diet. Did you make any changes in like your lifestyle?
Yeah, I did. So I try to cut back as much as possible on red meat. I try to eat more vegetables. I try to eat more fruits. I try to exercise 2 to 3 times a week. I just try to do anything differently than what I was doing prior to, because whether it works or not, at least I'm doing something about it. So I can't sit there and pout about things happening if I'm not doing anything about it. So
Yeah.
I knew that one of the biggest obstacles were going to be the change in food. and I think it was needed. So I feel a lot better about a lot of things that I do with my body and how and what I ingest into my body. Now, every once in a while, I'll do something I'm not supposed to, like have a steak or something. But for the most part, I try to stay away from certain foods. So
That's good. Yeah. And that's a journey too. I mean, there's certain things that trigger me and that I stay away from. I learned as I've gone through this journey. I'm like, all right, man, my body doesn't like that. I'm going to stay away from it. And I think that's a good thing. Your diet change with this disease, any way you can fight to just stay upright and mobile and feeling good. I mean, diet affects your stomach so much, and the meds that we take affect our stomach, and if you can um, kind of fight that just through what you're putting into your body, I'm all for that.
yeah, another thing is that when you change certain things within your lifestyle, meaning the foods that you eat, you also notice a difference in your body as well. You feel a little bit more energetic. You don't feel so sluggish when either I exercise the night before or if I eat a healthy night before. Morning, I'm not really sluggish and I'm not excuse me, I'm not like bogged down and feel heavy.
Yeah.
So I do that. Well, for me, I can't speak for everybody else, but for me, I do know that it does make a difference for myself when I eat certain foods.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, exercise too. I think exercise is so key in this fight. That was one of my biggest tools that I use. Is I was in a weight room 6 days a week. I was on a treadmill, I was on an elliptical, just I just wanted to do anything I could possibly do to keep my legs moving. And so far 27 years, I'm still standing. I still have to use a walker every now and then or a cane, but I'm still standing, and that's another discussion. I mean, do you have to use any kind of mobility aids?
So right now, my wife, she bought me a cane and I also have a rollator as well. I I use them when I necessarily need them the most. So if I know I'm going to be gone the entire day, I'll take them. If I know I'm not going to be gone for a long period of time, I probably won't take them. But if I know for a fact it's going to be a long day, I will definitely take the rollator and my walker as well because after a certain point, it is so hard for me to keep my balance. And depending on the amount of walking that I have to do, that's going to make it even harder for me to be able to walk upright without hurting myself or falling.
Yeah. Now, did you struggle with using the cane? I was 45 years old when I first started having to use a cane, and I fought that so hard. I think it was a guy thing. I didn't want to look weak. I didn't want to look like I was, getting old. I didn't want to look like I was handicapped, and I struggled with that. Did you have a hard time accepting that you needed that cane?
I definitely did. It's a little bit of pride. No, there's a lot of pride in that. There is the thing of you're this macho man, you were in the Air Force. All of that plays a factor into your brain when you have to do things that you're not accustomed to doing. And being as though I wasn't accustomed to using a cane, it came with a lot of resistance. And I had to learn to accept it. And as I accepted, the more I accepted, the easier it became for me to utilize those things. And I just try not to become dependent on them. So if I can do it without, I will. But if I can't, then I won't. And so that's the attitude that I take with it. And there's a lot of people out there who use them and they need them. And I'm not gonna say that you shouldn't use it or if you don't need it, but I'm just saying, speaking for myself,
Right.
uh, I I tried it that way and it didn't work for me. So I had to learn to adjust to using the cane and being okay with it. And like you said, that's the toughest part as a man is just saying, okay, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that women don't battle it either. It's a struggle either sex. I mean, nobody wants to look weak, and that's part of this battle. I mean, that's part of and that's another thing that I always tell people. The physical part sucks with this disease. There's a lot of pain involved in it. You're falling, you're hurting yourself. But I can deal with that. The mental part is the hardest part. In this whole 27 years, it's been the mental it is a battle nonstop. I mean, from the minute you wake up in the morning till the minute you go to bed at night and lay down, it is a mind game that you're playing.
It definitely is. And I think the hardest part of that game is the constant tricking that you have to do within yourself. From you saying you're going to be okay to I cannot do this today is it's like a constant battle that you have within yourself from your brain to your body. Like it's like your brain is saying yes you can, but your body is saying no you can't. And that's a hard thing to adjust to because you're so I know I'm used to just being able to do things I needed to do things I want to do, but now I have to literally listen to my body. So if my body's saying you can't, then I have to take it and not do it. And I think that's the hardest part of that battle is being able to sit down when you need to sit down or rest when you need to rest, as opposed to you continuously pushing. Because I've always been taught that you have to keep going, like you don't stop. And if you're one of those people who always live life like that, it's hard for you just to not be able to do something.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, man. It is it's an adjustment that you have to make, and it's not easy, and it's not something that happens overnight. I mean, we're talking it could take weeks, months, even years to get to that point. But the quicker that I think that you get to any of these points is the better that you're going to be. From the mental standpoint and everything else with fighting this disease.
I do agree. I think that if you can learn to accept it faster, then you can learn to move around. Not move around, but move through things because acceptance is one of the things that it was hard for me to do. um, because I always thought that, hey, this is only temporary. I'll be back to normal. But MS is my new normal. So I had to come to accept it. And once I come to accept it, I just learned to move on from it
Yeah,
or move on through it. It's
yeah,
my body's not changed.
yeah.
Well, it is going to change.
But we always figure it out though, I mean, if MS stops me from doing this a certain way, then I sit there and I'm like, okay, I can't do it that way anymore, but I'm going to figure out a way to do it so that I still can do it, and I might have to make adjustments. I might have to make changes in how I do it. It might take me longer, but I'm still going to figure it out. And I think that's what all of us as chronic disease warriors we do is like, we're not going to quit. We're not going to quit on our family. We're not going to quit on our life. And we just try to figure it out and we keep on moving on and just keep on living life the best that we can.
That is very true. And the amount of people that I come across, no matter what condition that they're in, that's dealing with MS, the overall consensus is I'm not going to stop fighting. I'm going to keep battling this for as long as I can. I
Hmm.
haven't seen any person yet who just like quit and gave up. A good portion of the people that I've come across, they are continuous fighters. And that's why I love the term of a warrior for people who deal with MS is because we don't stop fighting. We keep on fighting and we're not going to quit. We're not going to give up no matter what or how bad the circumstances are. And we're going to figure it out. It might not be right away, but give us the chance and opportunity and we will get it done and we will figure it out. And I think that's the beauty of being a person with MS is that no matter how bad it might look, I'm gonna keep on fighting until I can't fight anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, that's the way we're wired. Everybody that I've met, that I have recorded with, I mean, they're just such warriors and fighters. I mean, I got a guy down in Texas that is an incredible artist. I mean, he does sculptures, and this guy's hands look like shit. I mean, he has to massage them just to be able to hold the sculpting tools. But I mean, he's so talented. And there's another guy in Colorado that's another artist, and he does sculptures out of stone. I mean, there's a lot of talented MS people all throughout the world that I've met, and they just want to be understood and they just want to be accepted, and they are still providing a lot of positive things in life, and they want to be appreciated, and I think that that's all any of us want to be is understood and appreciated, that we can still contribute to society.
Yeah, because we're still people. Like we still have feelings. We still go through things. But you are right. We just want to be understood, and we just want to be given the opportunity to do things that everybody else can do. And that's all we want is just that is the opportunity to do it. And if you allow us the opportunity to get things done, they will. Granted, it might not be in the time that you allotted, but it will get done. We'll figure out a way how to get those things done. It might come with some support from others, or it might come with anything else that we might need from someone else, but it will happen and we can do it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Antwuan, man, I really want to thank you for coming on to the podcast today. Is there anything else that you want to tell anybody out there that is in the same situation as you? You know, they're 40 years old, they're getting diagnosed with a chronic disease, and, you know, now they're fighting this fight. Is there anything that you want to tell them, you know, just to keep them motivated that, you know, life isn't over and you got to keep on pushing on?
I would literally say if you are going through anything right now and you feel like you're by yourself, you are not alone. There are so many people that are out here battling something. Every person that's on the face of this earth is battling something. Whether they choose to disclose it or not is up to them, but we are all battling something. There's so much support. There's so many people that will be willing to help you no matter what you're going through. You don't have to go through this alone. None of us were meant to be alone to fight through anything. We're all supposed to be there for one another. And if you can't, or if you need to, please reach out to the people that will be able to help you. Because I don't want anyone to feel like you're doing this alone, because we're not. We're all fighting together. We're all fighting something. And so I don't want you to feel like you're alone in this battle, especially when it's news that you didn't expect to receive. And if you can, try to reach out to the people that love and support you. And those are the people that will genuinely help you the most, along with your friends. Um, Everybody is going to be there to support you, hopefully, and that you will be okay from this.
Yeah. I appreciate you, Dan Twan. I love what you say. You know, I love your attitude. I love talking to you. I'm so glad I met you, and I really appreciate you coming on to share your journey just to help spread awareness about this disease and just to explain it a little better so that everybody can understand it a little better. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I am MS Michigan Man 64. You can also find me on TikTok, MS Michigan Man 64, and I'm on Facebook, Brian Wallace out of Brunswick, Ohio. Again, I want to thank Antwuan for his service in the U.S. Air Force for 8 years. I appreciate you, buddy. The next episode, I will talk to you all. MS Michigan Man 64, I am out.